That's another one.
Yeah, that Bunny, thank you for being on my in the green room show. And I had to play that song because when I first started listening, what I like to do as a young musician was buy an album, see who's playing on it, and then buy everything of the guys who are playing on it and take them home and listen. And I remember buying a record, and I think this came out after you had played with Chick Corea.
Yes,
And
it's actually record. I actually start recording that particular album before I came here.
mm,
So then I finished it, and I had a chick playing and all that. That's my first album.
yeah, I listened to that over and over and over. And when I knew you were going to be on, I had to go back and listen to that again because when that first song, the first song just grabbed me right off.
All
and,
right. Well,
and it,
I'm actually slapping. This is a fretless. This is my Fender, fretless that I'm playing there. So I still have that instrument. It's a P bass, but I cut off the bottom of the. I cut off that because it was too high, And but that's what I'm playing. And it's a fretless. I didn't
right.
have the bass. I didn't have a fretted bass anymore because I made a fretless out of that bass. So that's what I played.
Did you take the frets out of the bass?
Yes, I did it myself and put some bondo. And then
Okay.
find somebody to put a finish on it.
Well, I want to get into all the basses you designed and the things you were telling me ahead of time, but I want to get back to when I first saw you, and I was really excited because we were talking about this just a minute ago. I had your record, and I went to Dante's, and you were playing with Al Vizzuti and Tom Breckline, and I don't know who else was there, but Dante's, what you were saying was at the time the big place to play. Everybody was playing there.
Yeah, that was the most famous place, and all the biggie, as I mentioned just before you start your show, that's the first place I ever played when I came to listen to record Secret Agent with Chick Corea. I went over there with Joe Farrell, asked me to play with him over there. So the first place I ever played, talking about, I played before in New York with some very famous French singers, but I'm talking about the first thing, playing what I like to play. It was with Joe Farrell at Dante's, that's what it was. Unfortunately, they find him dead one morning over there. So that was on the middle of a car dealer, that particular place. So the car dealer took over the place and they took it out. It doesn't even exist. The building is not there at all. So it's too bad.
And it was a really small place. I think the thing that struck me about it was you could go in and get a seat, and I could sit right next to almost touch guys in the band.
Yeah, that's right. That was the place. Everybody loved it. That was the place to play. All the big guys. We played when we played with Vizzuti. They had I'm sorry, the name went away. A very famous trumpet player was coming and all that because he liked the way he was playing anyway. And that's where I met one of my best friend, Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood
Really?
always coming, and I remember him coming with his daughter and his son, Kyle. And one day he ended up calling me. He said, well, my son wants to play the bass, so where should I go? What to do? So, well, just send it to me. I'll take it.
Did you
He's touring all around the world, the Kyle Eastwood.
Really? You taught Kyle Eastwood how to play bass?
Yes, acoustic bass and electric bass. He actually
Wow.
has a couple of Gibsons of mine.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Well, it's known that Clint is really a music guy and he can play piano.
yeah. Well, he's a jazz buff. He loves jazz, and he's playing a little bit on the piano and all that. And that's why he was a dentist. He would come at dentist to listen to the to the music, there because that's what he liked. So,
Well, you said that Joe Farrell asked you to come there
yes,
and play. Where did you meet Joe?
that was during the recording of Secret Agent.
Oh, okay. And
That's where he heard me play and all that. He wanted me to play with him. That's how it happened. During the recording, I just was recording, was playing, and many of the tracks that we're doing at the time, we were kind of playing live. It was recorded live, so you could really tell the way I was playing. He liked that, so that's why he ended up asking me for my first gig ever in a jazz club in America.
oh man. Well, I'm going to back up then. How did you meet Chick and start doing that record and playing with Chick?
Well, I was actually playing in London at the Ronnie Scott Club with a pianist singer, Tania Maria.
Oh,
So he was a trio with her and one of the greatest French drummer, André Ceccarelli. That was the drummer. If you listen to that guy, I mean, that's the best. That guy is like up there, with the greatest. And we were playing and all that, and it's for a week. And Patrick Moraz, the keyboard player,
yeah.
was there every night. I didn't know who he was personally. He was there, with the drinking and all that. And
Yeah.
oh man, there's only like Jacko and Stanley like you, and I was like, oh, thank you. And then on the Saturday, he's before leaving, he said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to come early tomorrow because I'm going to go see Chick Corea. He's playing in town, and he said, I'm going to tell him to come and listen to you. I said, well, bring the whole band. I told you, I had no idea who he was. I had no freaking idea, So anyway, so when on the Sunday, suddenly he came, little late, he came with Chick Corea because he told him, you got to listen to that bass player. And Chick wanted to know who the hell it was. And, he was so nice. And at the end of the evening before leaving, he said, oh, it was great, to listen to you guys, And he told him that she's going to have a hard time keeping her bass player. That's what he said. Patrick Moraz, And anyway, so I said, oh. So, and he was playing a few weeks later. He was playing like maybe a couple of weeks later or something. He was playing in Paris, So when I heard that, I called some friends to be able to go backstage, called a friend of mine that was a famous writer for magazines, and he got me back there, I was, waiting, seeing the musicians and all that. And then Chick went in front of me and they say, hi, Chick. So you look at me and he said, who the hell is that? I said, I'm the player you saw, in London. He said, oh, wait, don't move. He went to get his, assistant or something. And he told the guy, take his information. So I gave my phone number, and all that. And so they went and played. It was it was a big band, The bass player, I'm sorry, names, very famous bass player at the time who played with, he used to play with John McLaughlin before that. He plays acoustic bass and electric bass.
Alphonse, most Alf.
The name may come back.
Yeah, eventually.
And so I left and went back home and all that. And then one day I received a phone call. People pick up the phone, and it was Chick. You know, he say, "Oh, cool, you know, I'm recording a new album. Could you come?" You know, I say, "Yes, of course, of course." So he's the one who actually set up the flight and all that. You know, he paid for everything for me to come along. You know, and he paid for the hotel and all that until I was able to rent an apartment over there in Hollywood, and that's the way it started. You know, so he heard me play at the Ronnie Scott Club. That's how he heard me. And he said, "That's the," because he was, you know, just after Stanley Clark. He needed somebody to fill up the shoes.
Oh,
Didn't sound like him, you know. So, and so that was great. So that's how I got the gig, you know. And that's where I met all the great players, you know. And one day I was playing here in Los Angeles, you know. I was playing at the Ronnie Scott Club, okay, and with Tony Williams. I was playing with bass with Tony Williams, and you know, to go to the dressing room, you go up some stairs and all that, you know, and I was playing with him. I was playing the acoustic upright bass and the electric bass, and you know, so we finished playing, and then, you know, I walked up the stairs next to Tony Williams, and arrive after up, and I see, you know, I just saw. Sorry, it's amazing the names. The Jacko was there,
oh,
and I see, oh, Jacko, you know, and I could see his bass. He was carrying his bass, no thing. So that's why he was all beat up. And I could see he had the bass in the corner somewhere. And say, wow, Jacko, and you brought your bass. You know, it's just you should have played. And he said, I didn't need to play, you motherfucker. he told he told oh, I'm saying names and suddenly Tony Williams. Tony said, tell him that it's a compliment. I was so pissed off because, you know, I don't sound like him at all. I play the fretless. On top of it, I play acoustic bass, which he doesn't, you know. So,
right.
He was all pissed. I was so happy to see him. I would have liked him to. He was all pissed off, you know.
Oh, that's funny. There's a couple of things that I was thinking, though. You were playing at Ronnie Scott's, which is a really famous jazz club in London.
Yes, it is. It's the most famous in England, you know. That's the place with the Tanya Maria. I'm not
right.
Ever heard. That's a killer singer, pianist. That woman was amazing. It was a pleasure to play with her because it's so beautiful, you know. Killer.
Yeah. And then the other thing that struck me about what you were saying is Chick had you come to play on his album,
yeah.
And you hadn't even played with him yet, right?
No, but he heard me play with her. He knew that. And on top of it, I had the luck to be playing with Andre Ciccarelli, and that makes it different. You're playing with a killer drummer. I mean, you really nail this thing down because he's nailing the thing down. So that helps. You know, the gig was great, and she was fantastic. And I was playing. He loved it. He just loved it. That's why he said, "Oh, that's the guy I need." He knew that I would do the job. He knew it.
Yeah. Then, what was it when you started recording with Chick? Because Tom Breckline is a great drummer too, and this is what was interesting in those days when Chick was graduating, but changing from Stanley and that Return to Forever group. He transitioned into at the time was more electronic stuff with you and Tom and Al Vizzuti. That concept seemed to be more of an electrical kind of sound.
And his wife was singing.
That's right, Gail Moran.
Gail Moran was singing, you know, a lot of tunes. You know, she was definitely present all the time, you know. So, and that's why the album Secret Agent and after Tap Step, you know, she's singing on the thing, you know. So you're always being featured.
Then you officially moved to Los Angeles and just stayed here after that.
Yes, I just moved in August when he asked me to come, and I stayed here. I never came back.
And have have you been doing teaching and designing basses? And I know you've been doing a lot of sub. I was reading you and listening to the album. You did an album with a bunch of bass players.
Yes, well, that was the idea, trying to get something with Stanley Clarke. We decided to do an album with all those bass players, So that was the idea, have everybody coming and doing their thing, And that's where I have a couple of tracks where I actually used some French, bass player that are very, very good, So, and unfortunately, I'm going to say something people don't know, but French musicians are not represented in France. They have 165 jazz festivals. They do not hire French people. They want foreigners, if possible, American. So these people, they don't have the chance at all. So that's why I wanted to have those people being represented, because they're really good, great, but they cannot get a gig in jazz places at all. Once in a while they will get, but they should be like all the time playing, but they're not. So they have to collect unemployment most of the time.
No, really?
Yeah, it's a disaster. That's why I came here and never came back. I don't want to. It would be the same thing. They don't care. They actually never mention me at all. You would expect. They don't.
You would think in France they would want to talk about you because you're from there.
Not only that, but they never asked me to play in any jazz festival and things like that. And I tried, trust me. The only place I played, it's because Corea was in his office, and he had the owner of the Antibes Jazz Festival, which is the biggest one. He was there, and the guy was adorable. He wanted me, because he knew that I was going to play, over there, but he wanted me to play with my own band. That's why you can check on YouTube. You can see the band and all that. And in fact, Corea sat in and on a couple of tunes and all that. And that guy, I thought he would keep going, but he sold the festival the following year. He sold the festival. They never, ever asked me to play, ever. We're talking about 1979. Since then, no, they don't. That's the problem with the French people and their musicians. They have outstanding musicians, but they do not hire French people on all those festivals. It's a shame.
How do kids grow up being musicians or wanting to be musicians if they can't kind of work?
Well, they don't look at it that way. They just want to be musicians, and they practice, and they do little gigs in little clubs and stuff like that. But they cannot really go the step past. I was really fortunate that Corea wanted me to play with them, because I would have been like them doing the little gigs. For a while I was before I used to be living in Paris doing recording sessions. I did a big number of them. I have so many that I did. Nobody ever mentioned me anywhere that I'm playing. I mean, there's no solos. I was just playing bass line, and most of the arranger, they have the thing of writing all the notes. They're writing so I would go in, with my bass, I'll go in a session and sit down, sign the paper to get paid, sit down, and they have a chart, and usually they record the rhythm section. They would have the drums and the bass, and they would have a guitar player with an acoustic guitar who would just strum chords that they would not use later. That was the sessions all the time, playing notes, reading the notes. I was just reading notes, and that's it. That was the session. I did so many of those in Paris. So because I was lucky that one of the main bass player that was hired all the time is a friend of mine from Nice, Tony Bonfils, that's his name. and he's the one who set me up. When he couldn't do the session, he would send me. So so I was lucky because I did all those sessions thanks to Tony. That's what it is.
Well, is there a lot of recording sessions then?
Then it was, all the time, all the recording. They didn't have the computers and things like that, so people used to record everything. All the singers. I played with the most famous singers over there, and in fact, I came in America with one of them called George Mustaki. That's his name, and I actually played in New York. I played in Mexico City, and I played in Canada and all that. Way before I came, to play with Corea, and I was just like playing the bass, comping for the singer. That guy was not. He would let me play whatever I want, so that was an advantage. That's why I like to play with that guy. So it was great.
Well, Dennis Moody says hello. By the way, he's chatting. Put in the chat. He says hi and thank you, Dennis, for hooking Bunny up with me.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis. I hope everything is good for you and your family.
And what got you into fretless bass?
Well, the thing is just I went into the fretless bass because I'm an acoustic bass player. Because I play acoustic bass, so for me it was it was a good thing. Let's go play some fretless, And then after I start doing that, you had people got Jaco made the instrument famous, but I already had my own technique and things like that. So actually never copied Jaco at all. That's why when he heard me, he was like,
"That's right."
Then it was not him at all. It was me.
Yeah.
So that's why he got pissed off.
Well, it is your sound really is completely different and unique.
Yeah, well, I love Jaco. I think the melodies. I mean, that guy could really, do things. And we were supposed to do an album with Stanley. We were going to do Jaco, Stanley, and myself. But unfortunately, he went down the drain and all that. I don't know what happened with the drugs or whatever. He was leaving the park and all that. So he lost his bass and all that, everything. And it's too bad. I would have been great with Stanley and him. I would have loved that. I would have been anyway. So we'll go together upstairs.
Right. So you support other bass players and like working and talking to other bass players.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's good to understand that everybody has something to say, and it's just like at the beginning, as I say, as early, you only had Stanley, Jaco, what's his name? One more. It's going to come in a second. And myself, there's nobody else. People they didn't have. Now you have like so many great ones.
Well, who do you listen to now that's a younger bass player that it impresses you?
I don't really. I don't really. I listen. If I listen to something, I can tell. But when you're young, you want to learn, so you want to listen. You go, oh, this is good. But now I'm just listening to the ensemble and things like that. Some people are amazing with the slapping. So and do the best.
Do you think, based on we were talking right at the beginning about Dante's and the places to go and hear music and hear jazz and the experience of being able to sit next to you and in front of Tom Breckline and hear you play and feel it, and then go buy the record and look at the liner notes. That whole experience has really disappeared, and the music world seems to have changed. And how does it? How are we going to get that back, if we are at all? Do you think?
Well, it's a totally different thing, with the computers, with the Zoom, with all that stuff. it becomes in that people end up using the computer to play together. They're doing some recordings and things like that. So it's never going to be the way it was that people used to go. Look, I played all over America with Chick Corea and with Tony Williams. I toured everywhere. That's what I did. I also toured with Larry Coryell and things. Now people are playing in LA, they're playing in San Francisco, New York, and one other, and that's it. They're not booking people to play. I don't know why it stopped. It's not especially right now. It's been like that for 20 years. These people stopped being able to tour. I did play with in some places. I mean, there's no advertising. We had 5 people in the room. It's just like in Boston. I remember going to Boston. There was 5 people, so you cannot make money anymore because they're paying you, by the head, whatever, and they don't do anything. They're not advertising. In Berkeley, next to Berkeley School of Music, having 5 people in a room with killer players, is insane. With Tony McAlpine on the guitar, I mean, hello,
Yeah.
English Chambers on drums, and you have 5 people in the room. Why? Because you being paid by the number of people, so they don't advertise at all. They don't do anything, and they kill the business in America. You cannot. I played in so many towns, so many times. First with Chick Corea, and then with Tony Williams. I played everywhere. And look at now. We're happy if we can get 1 gig.
I know. Right. And with a couple of things, I want to know what it was like playing with Tony Williams.
Oh, it's just as I mentioned to you, I grew up playing with Andre Ciccarelli, and this doesn't get better than that. So when I played with Tony Williams, he loved it because he could tell I knew where everything was, because I was raised playing with one of those drummers that really can play. The first time I played with Tony Williams, it was a gig that he was doing a gig with Stanley Clarke, okay, and and Stanley asked me to come play the bass on one of his songs, like when he played the piccolo bass. So I went over there before I put my amplifiers. It's funny because there's a picture on one of Tony's album. You can see my cabinet with Bunny on the side. Anyway, so I was there. I was waiting, and suddenly Stanley, oh, okay, Bunny, we're gonna play the tune. So I get up, and I pass in front of Tony Williams, and nobody tells him anything. He was kind of pissed off, looking at me, thinking, who the hell is that? That's I could see on his face, So anyway, I plugged the bass and all that. We stopped playing the tune, and he was all over the place on the drums, trying to mess me up. He was all doing all the like he was playing, and I just played the thing and kept it. So at the end, when we finished playing, after he did all that, he stood up and he said, "Hi, my name is Tony. What's your name? It's good to play with a great bass player." That's how
Whoa.
They're trying to confuse me, But as I say, I played with the really top of the line, the guy Andre Ciccarelli. That's In fact, it's a family of drummers. The father, Jano, and the brother as well, play, and they all killer drummers. The brother's name is Jean-Paul Ciccarelli, and he was playing for a while. He came to America. He was playing with I'm sorry, the name's very famous singer, plays the bass, British.
Oh, Sting?
Yeah, he was playing with Sting for a while. he was playing with Sting for a while, so he came here. Great drummer, but he needed to go home, I guess. He couldn't really be out of Nice. That's where we're from, the city of Nice. So
From Nice.
yeah, that's where we are from. Yeah. So and anyway, so to go back to it, so I'm so used to playing with great drummers, and so he could do any because he's a great drummer, Tony Williams. Even if he does some weird stuff, it's right. He's playing it timing wise. It's always good, It's like so. That's why when he did all these things, I was just holding the boat. I had no
Right.
problem. I had no problem playing the thing. That's why he loved it, and that's how I got the gig with him.
Well, I think what you're saying, and I want to you tell me if I'm wrong, but when I was a kid, I played drums and I was taking lessons from a guy, and he made us at his students come and sit with a bass player and a piano player. And the drummer would have to play tunes, play along with the bass player and piano player. And the bass player and piano player would do everything they could to make you lose where one was. And at the end of the song, if you didn't stop at the end of the song, they would look at you like, why weren't you with us? And if I'm not mistaken, that's sort of what you were saying about Tony, because he would go all over the place and go over the bar line and play odd time stuff and weird fills. And
He was pissed off because Tony Williams, and nobody introduced me to tell him who I was. Because if he had said this is Brunel, he plays with Corea, then he would have understood,
right.
He didn't say anything. He was so pissed off. And that's why he did that. No respect, I mean, it's Tony Williams. I mean, come on. Yeah, well,
Right.
not a good idea,
Right.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you, because you said about Zoom and you're teaching, do you have a lot of students? Did you still talk to Kyle Eastwood a lot?
Oh yeah. I always talk to Kyle, So he couldn't finish. He started a tour in France, and he had to stop with because of the COVID. So I don't know when he's going to be able to go back. But he's always touring all over the world. He's got the name.
Right. Right.
To play. He's a very good bass player.
Hey, have you done any music for any of Clint's movies?
Well, I was supposed to do one. I did. I if you go to my site, you see there's a video where I'm actually, because I play acoustic guitar. There is a track that I'm doing with Clint in the room of the main melody that Clint composed. So I arranged it for the guitar and I recorded for him. And he wanted me to do all the music, but the company, the movie company, wanted to have somebody. They didn't want to have me because they said, "Oh, that's a great, that's you're coming back a movie, and we cannot use somebody that nobody knows."
Oh,
I lost the gig there.
oh man. Well, I've got your website up here, and I would like to play something, but my computer will freeze up if I try.
Oh yeah.
As what I've learned is, in the last year, since everybody has gotten online and everybody's doing things, all of these streaming platforms have been started to upgrade, and in the last year my computer has become too slow to do all of the features that the platforms can. So I I have to get a new computer now, because I can't. The minute I try to play a video, my whole thing freezes up because my computer isn't fast enough.
Well, you want to do that at least.
So I'm gonna have to get a new computer. But how are you teaching? Are you doing Zoom lessons?
I'm actually using. Let me give you the name of it. I have to look at it because I don't remember. FaceTime with one. I only have one guy that takes a lesson. I'm using FaceTime, and I have one of them that comes here to my house, and I have another one. I go to his house. So just wear a mask and all that.
Yeah. I think if we can get together in some small places as long as we wear masks and stay, don't be hugging and kissing all over each other. I think we're okay.
I don't even know if the mask is necessary, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I don't know.
It makes a difference. I don't think so.
I wear them out of respect for others in case they have issues.
Same here.
Yeah. And now I want to talk a little bit about the design of basses because that the P bass you were talking about, you cut it out and you reshaped the P bass to make it a fretless, you were saying. And
Yes.
how did that get into designing basses for people? And that's been a lifelong thing now for you.
Yeah, because the thing is, as I said, the Fender, there's many problems with the thing. First is the balance. The guy that designed the bass was a very heavy set person that played the guitar, the mandolin, and all things like that, session guy. And, he was just sitting down all the time and he had the bass on his knee. So he never realized that the balance, because of the length of the neck comparing to the guitar, would be a problem. The thing's going to go down like that. And that's the main problem of the Fender. The balance is terrible. And they never want to make it better. They could just add like an inch or two on the top thing, and then you won't have to worry. And you can see me playing that bass. I'm like that. I have a big strap, and I'm playing this way. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not playing like that at all. I'm like that with the Fender. And when I designed that, I corrected the length of the horn here to make it that whatever you do, it's going to be standing wherever you put it. It's not going to go down. It's not a neck heavy at all.
Well, then let me ask you: when you hold the bass upright like that, is it because of the balance? Then it's not because it's more like playing an acoustic.
It's both. It's not playing the acoustic. It's both, because when you have the bass like that, you end up playing with a folding your wrist. But when it's like that, you're not folding the wrist at all. You see, that's and for the intonation, playing the fretless it's very important, because you cannot play like that. Like you play with the fingers turns like you're never gonna be in pitch. I mean, that's why I played like that.
Now that you've explained it that way, it makes total sense. I never would have thought that.
Yeah, so that was the main thing, to be able to play in tune and all that. And it's better because there's no angles. I do the same thing with no angles with this hand. Some people, they play, no. I'm like that. There is no angles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, so that's the idea. So try to make it no angles that they can, and for the pitch, playing and it's easier when you're trying to go higher. With this one, which has like a 24 frets, I use the same technique.
Okay.
I could use the upright bass on it, but I think it's easier to keep the same technique.
When you first started playing the fretless, was it a problem not having the frets to know where you were at?
Well, as I say, I put some bondo, so and I could look. You can look and you see, because you're playing like 3/4 of the line. Okay, that's where the pitch is. It's about 3/4, and then after a while, finger go the right spot. You don't have any problem with the pitch.
Right. I like it. And what give you the when you do your kind of like slide, those kinds of notes, how'd you develop that, if you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if it's a logical thing. If I'm from E to G, instead of You see, you can slide.
Yeah.
It's cool, you know.
Yeah. What so what when you designed then the bass and you said you made the frets go up higher, did have you cut out parts of the body to make put higher notes on the guitar?
Well, I did that on the Fender. You know, I cut off the bottom of it, and I use a rasp to make it. You know, and it's a friend of mine who finally. It's a friend of mine who is a drummer who finally took my bass and painted it in black. It was just the wood, like, you could see the wood, you know.
Right.
I didn't care the way it looks, you know.
So how many signature basses do you have? Do you have like two or three or four?
The total of basses, you mean?
Yeah, that you've designed that people can buy.
Well, you know, that's just uh, right now. It's the company is ESP, and you have the four string, five string, and they are fretted, and you have one fretless five string. Only they didn't do it on a four string, but you can have a fretted five string, fretless five string, and a four string ESP. And
ESP.
yeah, would get it exactly the same. That's the. This one is like that. I'm gonna show you the four string because it's different color. And okay, that's the first fretted five string. You see? Can you see?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay, and
yeah.
then I have which is another color. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, good, good. I'm mixing up everything here. Try not to break anything. And that's the four string, which is kind of black
Oh, that's cool.
thing. So that's the idea. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear the frets.
okay. I could put the amplifier, but I don't want to bother you with it.
Oh, well, no, that'd be cool. You could play something. Yeah, but this is a treat for me because, like I said, I'm going back to that when I was listening to your album and watching you play at Dante's. Ever since then.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. I've got a question for you because of what you were just playing. Do you prefer playing more jazzy, swingy kind of stuff, or would you like to play more of the fusion funk kind of thing, or does it matter? You just like playing?
Yeah, whatever it is, you know, it's to match the style, and that's what I do. As I told you, I used to play a session player. So style-wise, I used to play any kind of thing, you know. So this, whatever sounds good, I just play it.
And when do you do sessions when you came to LA? Did you do a lot of sessions here in Los Angeles?
Well, I did a few sessions. It's true, especially at the beginning because I was the new fish on the block.
Right?
But it's just not that many because they already have here the great session players. So
Mm,
you have a record company, they want to be sure it's going to be right, so they hire these people. So I never did a dent at all in the recording things, but I did
mm.
a lot of recording for other people. That's for sure.
Right. You did a lot of records, but it seems like in Los Angeles, session players or like jingles and all of those sorts of things are different from jazz artists.
Yes, you know, you have a lot of famous bass player that sounds fantastic, and they don't really play solos and things like that. They just nail the bass line with the right sound and all that, and that's what they do. That's that's what's impressive. They can do that very well, you know. So
Right, right. What are you working on? Any albums or any new music currently with
yeah,
your group?
yes, actually, I started doing the album that I did. We were talking about it with Stanley Clark,
Hmm.
bass player. I started another one. We got stopped with the COVID stuff, but I do have some nice tracks already recorded. Okay.
Are you using different drummers for all the tracks, or is
Yeah, not for all the tracks. I'm doing several of them, but yeah, usually I have different drummers. You know, depending on what the track asks for.
are there some drummers that you haven't worked with that you'd like to work with?
Well, you know, I've always loved Billy Cobham,
Mm.
and I never played with Billy, and I think that would be nice to play because that's we're talking about somebody that knows where the beat is. That's for sure. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, he is so precise and all that, and he's got great taste, very musical. I like him a lot. You know, so.
What so when you were a kid, when you were growing up in France, what was the first record you bought that really got you excited about music and bass?
Uh, you know, at the time, you know, it's just it was not like here with all those stuff. I just got some album of the pianist and all that I was playing, was listening, totally different stuff, you know. It's just on. It didn't happen until they start having, you know, those Chick Corea and stuff like that. I stopped buying these albums, but before that, you wouldn't know at all who these people were, you know. So
Because they were mostly French or
yeah,
European people.
and then you know, I started putting a band together. Was because I always loved James Brown.
Mm.
So I had a band with a horn section and an American singer. Her name is Shirley Bunny Foy. Shirley Bunny Foy, killer singer and all that.
Uh-huh.
That singer at the beginning, and I had her singing a James Brown tune and all that. And had the band. It was a it was a very big club, 2 stories, and got the thing with the horn section and things like that. So that's so I used to listen to the funk and thing. That's what I liked the best. And it was on the bottom of the club. I used to play with that band, you know,
Uh-huh.
funky. And then I would go upstairs playing some jazz with the acoustic bass.
You know, there's not a lot of guys that can do that.
So I would do a set, you know, playing the everything, and then I go do another set playing acoustic bass.
Oh man, that's great.
The name of
Well,
the club was Janica, La Janica. That was the
that
name. So,
yeah,
so that was fun. That's used to play the stuff. I love it, you know. So
that's great. So, uh, you had a horn, you had horns and everything, and played James Brown kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah, with a keyboard, you know, with the organ, playing a B3 organ, you know, trumpet, saxophones, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just happening.
So there's a question here. Somebody said the best gig you could get that you haven't played yet, and you mentioned Billy Cobham. Are there other guys that you'd like to work with, and maybe a gig that you'd like to do live that you haven't done?
Well, it's hard to answer that because there are so many amazing players that are
Hmm.
fun to play with because of the quality of the playing. You want to play with some people that are really good. So as I say, I played with so many people. You can see some videos on the internet. One of them is with one of my favorites, Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
I did a gig with Stevie Wonder. You know, it's not everybody who can say that. It was like I love Stevie Wonder. You know, so anyhow, so I played with most amazing players. You know, I mean, Corea was already like there's nobody like him. But you have a Herbie Hancock. That's another incredible player. You know, then
right.
you have Wayne Shorter on the saxophone. I played with those amazing players. You know, so they're irreplaceable. You know, it's just incredible. You know, so as I say, people, if they go to YouTube, they can put my name and they can see me with so many people. I was so fortunate to be able to do that.
All those guys you mentioned are all legends in the music world, and to play with any one of them
Exactly.
uh, would be
Exactly.
great.
Yeah.
When you did Stevie's gig, was that one of his gigs when you played with him?
No, no, it was something for the names. I'm losing the names now nowadays. It's they're gonna come back. Aye, aye, aye. Anyways, no, he went because I played. I was the bass player in the band, and we played with different people. And he came to play, you know, for a song, you know, and that's what it was. So it's gonna come back in a minute because you know the gig, you know what it is. It's every year they have that thing every year. Uh,
Oh, something like the Playboy Jazz Festival or something like that, where they have it every year.
it's something for TV. Uh, what it's called? I'm sorry, I just lost it.
Oh, it's all right.
Anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
so, yeah, it was a gig like that. You know, he came in to play that song. You know, they had some singers singing, and he plays the keyboards and all that. So no, it's a
yeah.
get better than that. So to be able to play with all those people.
Oh man. And do you stay in touch with Al Vizzuti and Tom and all these guys that you've worked with in the past? Do you talk to any of those guys much?
Yes, of course, of course. I actually a month ago I had Tom Breckline recording some drums for me, and Alvazuda is not in town anymore, so because I would have asked him to come and play, you know. But anyhow, so
Yeah.
yeah, there's the most of people. If I can talk to them, I do talk to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you recording? Do you have a studio in your house?
Yes, it's right there behind you. You don't really see what's going on, but I have
Yeah.
everything behind me.
And do you do things like record the tracks and send the file to somebody and then they record it and send it back to you?
Yeah, usually the drummer, I send the files, have them playing the drums, and then I add it.
Things are a lot different today than they were 30, 40 years ago,
Yeah, we have to be playing together. That's the thing.
right?
Oh,
Oh man. Well, could you play just a little bit, just a little something again for me because we're about ready to wrap it up and it
is not
oh
cruise like that?
oh man. Well, you know what? I just like hearing you play.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And everybody can go to your website, bunnybrunel.com, and
That's
look at all the stuff and buy your records, take lessons from you. You can sign up for lessons
yeah.
and learn about your bass, how you design basses. They can buy one of your basses. Could you can they buy a bass from you, or did you
Yeah,
just sell?
yeah. They can buy it from me. They'll save a few bucks because I order it to with ESP, but I can actually they can buy it from me. Then they'll save little money. Okay, buying it, you know. So.
And just out of curiosity, can you put different wood in the body and different finishes?
No, no, with the it was that was the thing good about carving. You can order any kind of wood, color, whatever. But with ESP, with limited, with the three I showed you,
Mm,
okay, with the three you got the fretless is like that. The other one is
okay.
blue. The fretted is blue, and they all have the same wood. You can see the underneath, and the four string is kind of a black one, and
Right.
the only color.
Okay.
That's the only colors.
Okay. Nice. Well, also, if anybody wants to see any of those old videos of you playing, you can find them on YouTube.
Yeah, very easy.
You can, there's a lot of stuff we can find on YouTube these days.
It's
Uh,
like you can have have a gig with Corea, but it's with Al Jarreau singing, and it's have all those things with those people, so it's fun.
yeah. Did you play with Al Jarreau
Well, that
on
on
that?
that gig,
Yeah. And what was it like being there with Al Jarreau and Chick? And I
yeah,
mean,
just enjoy the moment and
right?
do your best, So
Oh man. I mean, like all the names you mentioned, I'm just sitting here and thinking, wow.
nice people, Very.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate to be able to play with all those amazing players.
Yeah. Man. I all of the music you talked about, all the records and everything, I listen to all the time. And again, it was a treat pulling out the that song. And I'm going to close. I have a video roll of that song again to close the off of your touch.
Yeah, yeah.
Eh, man, yeah,
I don't even.
yeah. No, that was great. Thank you, Bunny, for spending some time with me tonight and talking about all the stuff. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Dennis, for hooking us up.
All right, thank you very much. And this guy, is it something that people going to be able to listen to later? You have
Yes.
Okay, please do that. Send me the link because I can put it on my site,
Okay, absolutely.
on the book and all that.
Okay, I will send you a link after, and then you can share it with your friends.
Very well.
Okay, thank you, Bunny. I'm going to play our closing
Okay,
and sign us off. Okay.
so very much for that. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you.